Welcome, dear friends, to the Taviren, a Wheel of Time podcast hosted by three gentlemen for whom the very wheel itself bends around. Without further ado, here are your hosts, Bill, Rob, and Rich.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to another episode of the Taviren. Taviren? Ah, damn it, Rich.
That worked. The Taviren.
It's Rich's fault. Where are you, Rich?
Yeah, we tried to get the full set, but wasn't meant to be, I guess, today. So
Rob, you're supposed to wake him up.
I did, but I don't know. He must too much ale.
Too much ale last night. The wine's bringing.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. I spilled the drinks last night as well. I
have a feeling you're going to be spilling the drinks a lot, but hey, all in good faith, right?
Yeah. Anyway, I blame Matt. Anyway, he took all my money at Stones to get.
You got two eyes on that guy. You got to watch him.
Yeah, snake eyes. Old snake eyes, Matt. Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to the Taviren. Am I saying that right yet?
The Taviren.
Taviren. Yes, I'm getting there. Let's just blame it on my British accent. Although I think most of it's supposed to be British, guess. Anyway,
sure.
Me, Rob, and Rich, although we never seem to be in the same room together, are me and Rich the same person?
Ooh, who knows?
Do I just suddenly put
abound.
Hi, I'm Rich. I've got a really deep Midwestern voice. Howdy.
Oh, crap.
As bad as it gets for me, I'm afraid. Yes, we are a Wheel of Time podcast where we are going through the Wheel of Time books one chapter at a time. I assume because we are masochists.
Yes. I actually did the math to figure out how long it would take to do the whole series, and I'm not ready to announce that yet.
Well, I know the first book has, 54 chapters?
About that, yes.
So that's going to be over a year before we finish the Wheel of Time. I mean,
yes,
not the Wheel of Time, either well.
Maybe about, I got us around late May 2020. Maybe take a week off for the holidays. Take a breather.
Well, I think you and Rich need to sit down and hit the history books, or more importantly, the geography books.
Yes.
Oh,
Go ahead. Let us
know. So people know. At the moment, one of my jobs for the podcast is I do the editing. So despite not being on last week's episode, I was editing it, and I was infuriated when Rich asked the question. I can't blame Rich too much, Rob. This is mainly you, right? Because Rich asked the question. He was just like, "Are they in Emmonsfield? Is that where this is taking place, or is it the Two Rivers?" Emmonsfield is in the Two Rivers, and it is the hometown of Matt and Perrin. And technically Rand, although, he lives on a farm out in the Westerwood. But, come on, guys. It's kind of a big central point of everything.
You put me on the spot.
I know.
And if you could hear, if you listen closely, you can hear me literally flipping through the pages of the book.
I know. They don't actually mention it in the first couple of chapters. So I'll give you that because, we're going to be covering chapter 3 today. And I've been through chapter 3 about 5 times.
Yeah, I have. Normally, these chapters I have about a page. Today, I have a page and a half of notes on this. I'm
surprised because not a lot actually really happens in chapter 3. But anyway, we can get on to that.
Okay, well, today this is episode number 4. We're going to go over chapter 3, The Peddler. But before we do, guess what, Bill?
Someone's cleaned the sauce.
Ooh, that would be a good one. Who knows if that happens?
We said, guess what? I'm wondering if someone's cleaned the sauce because I spilled ketchup everywhere at the Wine Spring Inn last night.
I don't even know where to go with that one.
I'm going to get some leverage out of this Wine Spring Inn joke.
Get some extra napkins.
Yeah, exactly.
We actually have iTunes reviews.
iTunes reviews?
I know. People are showing their love for us out on iTunes.
Excellent. We'll have to do some sort of iTunes competition, I think. I want to get lots of iTunes reviews from people.
Spend more of Richard's money. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe we can. I tell you what, a bit on the spot here, Rich. But maybe we could have like a
on who?
On the spot.
You called me Rich.
Oh, sorry, Rich. Sorry, Rob. God, all you Americans, why are you all called R?
We all sound the same, right?
No one sounds like Rich. Hi. Hey. Yeah, I'm thinking on the spot, right? Maybe as a little iTunes competition, we could say we'll do some sort of competition on iTunes reviews, and we'll give away maybe a tankard with the Tarvien on it.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? Tarvien
Yeah,
podcast tankard.
make it a little bit fun.
Yeah, there we go. Topical and
So-
fun. Rich.
So we have
Rob Rich.
yes, from
I'm
Bill,
just-
Rob, and the other one.
I'm going to call you Rand from now on. You're Rand. I'm Matt. Rich is pairing.
Yeah, that will make it much easier. Sure. So looks like we got 4 reviews, two new reviews here.
I assume the other 2 are from me and you.
Yes, well, some bloke Metanaka, I don't know.
Menanica.
And
He's a cool guy, Menanica.
he must like that heavy metal music or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he loves heavy metal and biscuits. Yeah, sorry. My Twitter handle is Metunica, Metunnica, and it's a ridiculous name that I came up with when I was slightly inebriated. I was listening to Metallica, and I was setting up my Xbox Live account, and it said, "Hey, what do you want your name to be?" And I was just like, "Well, I'll do something Metallica." And I was eating a packet of Tunnock biscuits. I don't know if you have those in the States.
No.
They're like this sort of like caramel wafer biscuit that we have over here. I was like, Metallica? So I put the Tunnock in the middle of Metallica. And I came up with Metallica. And do you know what? It's a unique word. No one else has it. So screw you all. I love it.
Hey, I don't judge.
Yeah. So if you like Metallica and biscuits, I'm your man.
You could be original like me and use your first initial, last name, and the year you were born. So I'm very original with mine.
That's too scary. As I get older, I don't want to see the year I was born.
So no, the 2 other reviews we have. You mind if I just run through these, Bill?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Go for it. As long as one of them's not from Tyler. I hate that guy.
Oh well, no one says Tyler here, but who knows? First one we get though is from Aaron SB, a 5-star review. Great way to revisit the series. I just barely started rereading this series when I found the podcast. It's fun to hear these guys' take on it and seeing these chapters from a different perspective. Keep it up.
Yeah,
Thanks
you,
a lot,
Aaron.
Aaron. Thank you,
awesome.
Aaron.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
Someone who likes the pod, so he's A's in my book.
Yeah, it's nice to have reviews from people I don't know.
And the second one is from Cock-a-doodle-doo, the cow says moo. That's quite the name.
Ooh.
Does the name sound familiar to you?
It does.
Oh.
I know Cock-a-doodle-doo, the cow says moo. I don't know who it is. But I've had a review from them on other podcasts of mine. Let's hear it. I might be able to determine who it is.
It's a 5-star review. It says the kick in the butt I needed. I've wanted to start this series for so long, but struggled through the first few chapters. Thanks to the Tavir end, I've now made it further than ever. Chapter 2.
Oh, that's either Tyler or Troy. I suspect it's Troy.
I believe
Troy,
it. Yeah, that'd be this one.
Troy's the guy who likes to have really long names for things.
Yes. But hey, guys, thanks for the love. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
every little bit.
Big fans.
And if you think there's ways that we can make the podcast better, and you want to let us know with a less than stellar review, please do that. We will take all forms of criticism, positive or negative.
Well, I'll take it badly, but I'm joking.
That's just you. Also, before we really dive into the discussion, I do have a tidbit of Wheel of Time news.
Dun, dun, dun.
Wheel of Time news.
Welcome to the Wheel of Time news with the Tarvaren podcast.
Oh, you got it in your first try. Good job.
I can do it if I do it in an American accent. In my native Essex tongue, it doesn't really work.
So from what I've heard, they're writing the scripts for the TV series that's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Mm-hmm.
And the first 2 episodes have not only been written, but approved by none other than Brandon Sanderson himself.
Oh, yes. I had a newsletter on that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brandon loves it.
That's a really big step in the right direction for me. as I mentioned to Rich, the people, and like I said, myself included, who are Game of Thrones fans, have no idea what's coming if this is done right.
Well, when the TV series comes out, I assume we're going to be talking about it a bit on the show. So, just as a bit of a prerequisite here, Rob, I'm nervous. Now, I love the Wheel of Time, and I know people who love like Game of Thrones and stuff. They love like the first 6 series where it kind of followed the storyline of the book ish. And I've heard people complain about the last 2 seasons not quite being as good because it's kind of like they haven't had source material to work from. But
yeah, there's ups and there's downs.
The thing I worry about is the comparison with Game of Thrones, because it's nothing like Game of Thrones. We're not going to see like a penis on screen every 5 seconds in the Wheel of Time show.
That's how I was explaining it to my wife. Think. I said, think of Game of Thrones, except take out the gratuitous sex and gratuitous violence and add better plot, stories, and character.
Yeah, I assume there will be a lot of violence at certain bits.
Yeah.
But yeah, better characters. I just love the Wheel of Time. But yeah, I'm just nervous. I don't want people to think it's going to be the new Game of Thrones just because it's the new fantasy novel converted to TV show.
Well, you know what we need to do, and I'm going to call this out to all the Wheel of Time podcasts out there. We need to be the heralds of truth and let the world know Wheel of Time came first.
Wheel of Time did come first. Yeah, that's it. I'm my golden crane. I'm raising the flag.
Let the crane fly.
Let that fucking crane fly. Oh, I swore. Sorry. I'm trying not to swear so much on my podcasts. I've been told off for it recently. My wife says, "Stop it."
Oh boy! Now we got the explicit banner. Thank you.
Yes, sorry. Yeah, I always put the explicit thing in there just in case, because I know I tend to let it slip out. So a lot of our episodes are clean, people. Apologies for my filthy, foul British language.
Oh boy!
But I'm sure in Americans, when you hear British people swear, you just think it's funny.
No, never. So you've read this chapter 5 times, huh?
Well, red's a strong word.
Gleamed.
Listened to over and over again. Yes, boy. Yeah, I've listened to this chapter 5 times. It's one of the things I'm actually kind of enjoying, because rather than just breezing through the chapters, I'm kind of I'm deep diving every chapter. And that's where I'm kind of picking out a lot of these little plot points that I kind of like glazed over. Because obviously this chapter opens up and Paddin Fane rolls into the village.
That's almost identical to my note. I said Paddin Fane and his nose rolled into 2 rivers.
Yes. I don't actually remember them describing his nose that much in this chapter. In my head, it's just like
his nose.
Well, I listened to it a few times. I was like, I think they do mention that he's got a fit, that he's got a pronounced nose or something. But I think it's later in the books that they go on and on about how big this guy's nose is.
Yeah, well, I knew that. So when I saw the one line about the pronounced nose, I'm like, yep.
I latched onto that. But the line that really took me was he looked like he had a smile on his face, like he was laughing at a joke that no one else knows about. And knowing what comes up later, I find that line very foreshadowing. Whereas before, it's just one of the things you breeze over.
Well, that's the beauty of this whole series, is that on your second and third read-throughs, you're just picking up all these other hints and innuendos. You're like, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I have to say, when I first started The Wheel of Time, I never thought I'd be rereading it for the 3rd time.
Oh, I know.
I thought, wow. When I discovered it was 15 books, I thought, wow, this would be a one and done.
You thought it was a trilogy, didn't you?
Well, yeah, because I saw the trilogy sitting up on my father-in-law's shelf, and then it wasn't until I realised there was more, because I started finding random Wheel of Time books in other positions. For some reason, he had the first 3 next to each other, and they're like his shelf of just books is just a whole hodgepodge. They don't normally sit together. And it was just like, I just suddenly came across a different one. It was like number 5. I was like, oh, wow.
Me, on the other hand, I'm anal retentive. I don't have New Spring, but I have all 14 books lined up. And I have all paperback except for A Memory of Light. So I'm thinking I might have to go back and rebuy Memory of Light in paperback just to make everything uniform.
See, I own Memory of Light in digital form, so I've got that forever on whatever mobile devices that I have coming up. I'm going to be buying all of the books on Audible for this.
You know what I heard? That without Rich, don't listen. The massive chapter in Memory of Light, which all fans know about, is that one chapter alone is 9 hours on Audible.
That's going to be a big episode for us. It's going to be like a 4-part.
I think that might be a multi-parter for us.
But yes, I mean, I moved. Well, I sent you that picture, didn't I? So of the ones I can find.
Yes.
So I moved house like almost 3-4 years ago, I think. Like finally bought my own house. You know, me, the wife, kid. Well, me, the wife, not the kid at the time. Kid now. And we've got like a room at the front of the house which is just full of boxes and stuff from our previous life. And so I finally went through. Yeah, I finally went through the book boxes trying to find all my Wheel of Time books, and I know at some point I did have all of them. But yeah, I could only find a select few of them. And as you saw, for some reason, I have 2 copies of, I think it's Crown of Swords.
So you should really know that book when we get to it. So there's no excuses for you.
Yeah, that's it. I've got. So I'm missing the first book, Eye of the World. I've got The Great Hunt, and then missing everything up until Lord of Chaos. And I've got 2 copies of Crown of Swords, so I might give one of those away. You know, we'll sign it. We'll sign it and we'll give it away. And I've got Path of Daggers, Winter's Heart, Crossroads of Twilights, and then my favourite one, Knife of Dreams.
You're so far ahead.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's all I can find. So the other ones all seem to have gone missing from my life. Anyway, Pad and Phone, the peddler. He's come into the village and he's selling copies of Memory of Light.
We'll buy them all up.
Yeah, I'll have each one.
One note I have on here, I said, for a remote town known for not having a lot of outsiders, Two Rivers has practically turned into downtown Manhattan.
Yeah, everyone has come out for the peddler because everyone wants to hear the news. Apparently, some peddlers they like to give out the news, to just like dump it on them. Other peddlers are just like don't care, and they have to prize it out. But Padin Fane is the man. Apparently, he likes to come in and give a gleeman's version of the news.
Yes, he's a dump of information.
Yes, he wants to give out. Yeah, but he also wants the attention.
Yes,
he loves it.
I also noticed here that this is our first appearance of the blacksmith's apprentice.
Yes, yeah,
Mr. Perrin Ibarra.
Yeah, who's described as being half a head shorter than Rand, but twice as wide. Yeah, twice as broad. He's got arms and shoulders to rival Master Luhan, the actual blacksmith.
Yes.
So yes, this is Perrin Arabala. Arabala?
Areola? Careful. Perrin Ibarra. I got here that the Two Rivers Taviren team is now complete. Triple T. The Triple T. We have all 3 of them now.
Yeah, so this is Perrin's a big guy. And I don't know if you all know this, but Rich does powerlifting. So that's why I've decided he's Perrin.
And he keeps getting lost in the Dream World Teleron Riyadh. We can't get him out of there.
Yes, but no one knows about the Dream World yet.
Oh, sorry. Spoilers. Before Patton gets into his little exposition, there was a notation in the book that he had been noticing Rand since last year when he visited.
Yes,
so,
because it was just like Rand describes it as he'd finally noticed that they were men and they weren't boys anymore.
Or was he noticing something else about Rand? Who knows?
Yes, and all the boys actually. But we also find out, we also find out a little bit about Perrin's character as well, because they talk about how he kind of like nimbles his way through the crowd.
He's gentle giant.
Yeah, he's gentle and slow. Not like slow. Just like
he's deliberate.
He's methodical. Yeah, deliberate and methodical. In all of his actions, he's not like Matt, who's just impetuous and spontaneous. And then you've kind of got Rand, who's like a middle ground between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the combination of all these guys. But yeah, anyway,
Oh yeah, there's other
little...
dynamics we'll bring up later in the chapter, but there's other dynamics between the three of them that I just love.
Yeah,
absolutely love.
So, what's Padding? Padding's got some news for us. So, what's the news blast from the rest of the world?
I got 5 different notes here from him. First off, there's war and madness in Gildan.
Gildan.
We don't know where that is, but apparently that seems to be close by, where that stirs the crowd up a little bit. Another bloke that named himself the Dragon Reborn has come forward. This may or may not be a false dragon. Now, to the reader going through this first run, these are terms that they're not sure about, but once the term Dragon Reborn was mentioned, the whole crowd's dynamic just shifted. It becomes like, oh, no. Who? What? No Dragon Reborn. What? We can't have that. Very, very tension and unease fills the crowd. One person thinks that the Dragon Reborn might mean the end of the world. This false dragon, according to Paddin Fane, can wield something called the One Power.
Yes.
Once again, yes. We don't know what that is per se, but very unsettling news, to say the least. And the tip of the iceberg, or the creme de la creme, Aes Sedai have been sent out from Tar Valon to deal with the issue. This just sends everybody into a frizzy, or into a tizzy. No one...
Yeah,
it's amazing.
And,
when you take...
people are pissed.
Oh, they are. But when you take a small town like this with people who may or may not know what magic happens or what false dragons or Aes Sedai or Tar Valon mean, and it just gets lit afire and no one knows what is good, what is bad. It's all good news. It's all bad news. The Aes Sedai are the evil people. The Dragon Reborn will come to save us all but destroy the world. Everybody has their own kind of take on this news. And the truth is, nobody really knows anything. They're just trying to speculate, just for speculation's sake.
But there's a lot of fears and a lot of stories that you hear, and they're never the same. They're all slightly different.
Yep.
Yeah. Some people think Dragon Reborn's a curse. Paddin Fane does mention that the world's gone crazy because he says, about the winter coming late as well.
Yes.
And he says, one of the things I liked was he said about, we had a false dragon 20 years ago, and then we've had 3 in the last 5 years. The world's going crazy.
Yes. And that's how Dragon, Dark One, Aes Sedai, Dark Prince. Like I said, no one really knows who's good or who's evil. There's very, very blurred lines.
Yeah, because they're in such a remote village. Like
exactly.
No one actually really has a bloody clue what's going on.
No,
but they're all
like they claim they do.
They're all terrified. But yeah, we get a lot of information dumped, of just words basically. But it's just these are the first time we hear a few things like Aes Sedai, which is the women who control magic. That's basically all we find out about them. We find out that men who are the dragon, who claim can definitely wield the One Power. There's a lot of speculation that they normally go absolutely batshit crazy if they do that.
Yes.
Which is why they generally they end up destroying stuff.
Yeah, that's frowned upon.
Yeah, it's frowned upon. But then also, that becomes a little bit later. But yes, and then I think the village council decide to take control of the situation because the village is getting a bit riled up.
Yes, Sen Bui in particular.
Yeah,
good old Sen.
Stupid Thatcher. He knows how to poke a crowd into a frenzy.
Yes, he's got them all lathered up. So I think Tam and Mayor Alver kind of, while Paddin's doing his whole exposition, the two of them are having a quiet but serious conversation in the corner until they finally say, okay, the show's over, guys. Enough's enough. Paddin, you need to come with us. We need to discuss this further in private.
Yeah. So they usher Paddin away back into the wine spring inn and lock the doors.
Yes.
Which leaves our little gang of characters, Rand, Matt, and Perrin, just were they sitting on a stump? Just looking at the door, looking at the pub?
I forget how that scene ended, but I mean, I know that it leads from our 3 boys getting introduced to our 2 lead female protagonists from the 2 rivers, and who relished themselves in making the men uncomfortable.
Yes. So the first one that comes up to Rand is Nynaeve.
Nynaeve Almira.
Almira, that's it. I forgot her last name for a second now. Yeah, Nynaeve
Yep.
Almira, who is the
Now-
village wisdom that we've heard so much about. Likes hitting
Now
people
I
with
will
sticks.
comment right now. We have and behind her stood a young woman who had her arms angrily crossed.
Yes, beneath her breasts.
I believe this is our first count.
This
of,
is.
Posturing women to make men uncomfortable.
Have you got a spreadsheet going, Rich? Rob. Sorry.
Oh, that's two. One more and you're out. I do.
Sorry,
That's our first count.
bad habits. Cool, excellent. Yeah, we need to keep a spreadsheet of these sort of things. So that is our first count of some of a woman, it could be anyone, crossing her hands under her breasts. I think
in an angrily manner.
In an angry manner. I think some of the other ones we're looking out for. I think we'll do pulling of the braids.
I had ignoring the weather.
Ignoring the weather. Smoothing out their dress.
And I'm gonna and I want to add, and this comes to my next point, which we can make as a count too if we want to. But between the three boys, Matt, Perrin, and Rand, one dynamic that they have that Jordan tested with the books that I love.
I know what you're gonna say.
Oh,
I'm so excited.
They each secretly wish they were as good at women as the other two were.
Yes, that's it.
I love that. All three of us said that.
It's so good. So again, as Rob mentioned, Egwene is standing behind Nynaeve, and she's Rand. As soon as he sees her, legs turn to jelly, can't talk anymore. He's just so nervous around her. And in his head, he has this little rhetoric where he thinks, I wish I could talk to girls like Perrin does. And this is the first one of those that we have.
That's yes. I love that immediately from when I first read that. The second one said it. Oh, it's great.
I just love it because as the book goes on, and you end up seeing Jordan switches characters, so you end up seeing things from Perrin's perspective, Matt's perspective, and all these sort of huge, vast amount of characters are in this book. And whenever Matt or Perrin's talking to girls, they're like, "Man, I wish I could do this as good as Rand." Oh man, exactly. I wish I could do this as good as Matt.
Oh, I love that.
It's so funny. So we've got one of those. I think another one we could do as a little sort of side one with Padding when it comes up later is how many times he rubs his nose.
Well, it's so big he could just wave his hands in the air and Ozzy probably hits it.
Yeah, he does it by accident when he's trying to reach for things. Damn, I rubbed my nose.
And once again we learn that Nynaeve, the slick talker she is, plays obviously the men are doing this all wrong. This needs a women's touch approach to everything within the village. What? He's in there talking to the men? Obviously they're doing it all wrong. I need to be in there to figure this out. So what happens? She walks away and in brilliant fashion leaves Egwene there. Matt and Perrin take that cue, take a few steps back.
To leave Rand to squirm in his own anxiety as a little teenage boy. Although
I got a note on here says, "What happened to bros before hoes?"
Wait, hang on. I've got to stop you there, Rich. Rob. Damn it. Sorry, I've done a year's worth of podcasting with Rich. It's such a normal habit. So, Rob.
What do you got?
Last week, you guys speculated on the age of the boys.
I was closer.
Yeah, you was closer. I admit that. Admittedly, when I was editing the episode, I was just I think they're 14, 15. Me and Rich are way off. Rand,
like I said, go ahead.
Rand is 19.
Wow.
It is never explicitly mentioned in the book.
Math it out.
But someone mathed it out. And Rand is 19 years old, which coincidentally, let's think about this. Padding did mention that the last major false dragon was 20 years ago.
Oh.
And Rand's 19. So, and Perrin and Matt, as we'll find out in a couple of chapters' time, I think, they're a few weeks difference between Rand. They were all born within a few weeks of each other.
Okay.
Which is why they all sort of tie in. And then Egwene's a bit younger. She's 17.
So I have a little playful note on here. It says, "I can't wait to see this romantic relationship between Egwene and Rand blossom in the chapters and books to come."
Yep. I'm very much looking forward to that too.
Yep.
See Rand stumble over himself a lot. Right, where are we up to?
We'll be waiting a long time.
Where are we up to? So Egwene's talking to Rand, I think.
Yep. Egwene confides in Rand. She's playing the playful, game of boys and girls talking to each other, young men, young women.
You mean women torturing men?
Oh my God. She confides in him that she plans to leave Emmons Field and train to be a wisdom for another town. And this is like a gut punch to Rand, but he's not sure why.
Yes. He hasn't quite worked out those feelings that he's getting down there.
Very mixed emotions at hearing that she might not be around all the time.
And understandably, he starts to question. He's just like, what? No one ever leaves Emmons Field. No one leaves the two rivers. And then she starts getting really annoyed at him. She starts, as he describes it, pulling meaning out of his words that he didn't know was there. So,
exactly.
Again, like with most men, women could just talk circles around us all.
Yep. I'm guilty as charged.
Yep, same here.
So after that little exchange between Egwene and Rand, Matt and Perrin come back to Rand, and we find out not only did Perrin receive one of these special coins from Moiraine, he also saw the Dark Rider too.
Oh yes, Dark Rider was spying on him with a pair of binoculars from a bush while he was working away in the smithy.
So
apparently the bush was shaking a lot.
Perrin immediately went to tell Master Luhan, the blacksmith. He didn't see the rider himself, but spent the whole rest of the day walking around with his biggest hammer.
Yes.
So
yeah, and then when Perrin questioned him on his hammer, he was just like, "Yeah,
just
shut up,
carrying it around.
Shut up, get better work. You're the apprentice. Do what I say."
I know. And I guess the chapter kind of comes to, I'm skipping ahead, but I think the chapter comes to an end. I guess Egwene starts to scold the men. And I got on here the greatest sport in the Two Rivers, women scolding men.
Yes.
But then they're interrupted by what are they interrupted by at the very end?
A grey-haired man suddenly just like stumbles out of the pub.
And cutscene.
Cutscene, yeah, but he's a strange man just stumbles out of the pub who we don't know, but we have big suspicions on who he might be.
Oh yes.
Oh
yes.
yes.
I said there's only so many new people in this town, so we've met most of them.
Yep, there's only one we haven't met yet. Everyone's been talking about him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's full of joy and glee.
He's a man.
And he's a man. And he's got a Technicolor raincoat.
Yes.
It's Joseph. Oh, no, wait. It's the Glee Man.
Yes.
Which is the title of next week's chapter.
Preview of next week's episode.
Yes, we're going to learn all about the Glee Man. But, do you know what? It's once we get past next week's episode. Because I like all these episodes. I like all the foreshadowing that I'm kind of picking up.
Oh, yeah.
But it's the one after next week's episode. So after the Glee Man. Let me remember the name.
I started reading that chapter and I literally had to put it down.
Yes,
the moment something starts to happen.
Yeah, I was just like, because it's a winter night. Because I did a little bit, because I did a little bit of research. I read the Glee Man once, and then I was just like, just as you do, you just carry on. Especially with an audiobook, you can't really stop it that easily. And I was just like, oh my god, I can't wait to get to this chapter. So much stuff is going to go down.
So, I mean, obviously, when we're talking about a 14-book series, your setup chapter are going to be more than just a chapter. So we're through 3 chapters, and we're still being given information, being given new characters, and then
crazy.
They'll go through, I guess, chapter 4 as well. But once you get to chapter 5, then the ball gets rolling. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Shit is going to go down.
So for this episode for chapter 3, we're going to go into the readings with Rob section. For this chapter, I selected a passage from the book where the 3 boys were just kind of talking about what they heard from the Peddler, what their thoughts on it are. Matt kind of gets off on his own tangent.
Yeah, because that's kind of that's one thing. Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention during that scene was that's also the first time we get a mention of the Children of Light.
Yes,
I think Matt just drops it in there. That's kind of what this is. They're just dropping in a lot of things to make
Perrin might have dropped that one. I actually used a certain voice for Perrin. Once again, I take my own spin on these characters.
I
so,
really hope it's John Wayne. And the
No, I'm
children
sorry.
of White Pilgrim.
That's actually pretty good.
Well, everyone can do John Wayne.
I can't say I use John Wayne for Perrin, but hey. But I also took that passage and I took it into where we met the Emmonsfield Wisdom, her first line of dialogue. So
I wish the introduction would have been hitting Matt with a stick.
it wasn't. It was she kind of snuck up on him and
Be like, hey
gave
boy,
her first line.
what'd you do to those dogs?
So gotta be honest, what are your opinions on the Ghost Town prank? We went straight from the horse's mouth. Tell us.
I loved it. It's the sort of thing I would have done when I was a kid.
Rich's take was he thought it was the sort of thing you would have done last week to your wife.
No, not to my wife. It's something I may or may not have done to a cat when I was younger. I may have accidentally covered it in flour and then released it somewhere.
Oh, that's even worse.
That did not happen. I did not cover a cat in flour.
Oh my god!
But I did accidentally drop a bag of flour once in a living room. And then pretended to be a ghost. I was really small, but yeah, this stuff happens.
Bill doing Bill things.
Yep. Bill doing Matt things, I like to think.
Hey, that'll work too.
Cool.
So here's our
Readings with Rob.
Readings with Rob.
Welcome to Readings with Rob.
And now, the Taviren present to you Readings with Rob. Slowly the villagers dispersed, still muttering and shaking their heads. Whitconger paused to stare into the new abandoned wagon as though he might find another peddler hidden inside. Finally, only a few of the younger folk were left. Matt and Perrin drifted over to where Rand sat. "I don't see how the Gleeman could beat this," Matt said excitedly. "I wonder if we might get to see the false dragon." Perrin shook his shaggy head. "I don't want to see him. Somewhere else maybe, but not in the Two Rivers. Not if it means war." "Not if it means Aes Sedai here either," Rand added. "Or have you forgotten who caused the breaking? The dragon may have started it, but it was the Aes Sedai who actually broke the world." "I heard a story once," Matt said slowly, "from a Woodbuyer's guard. He said the dragon would be reborn in mankind's greatest hour of need and save us all." "Well, he was a fool if he believed that," Perrin said firmly, "and you were a fool to listen." He did not sound angry. He was slow to anger, but he sometimes got exasperated with Matt's quicksilver fancies, and there was a touch of that in his voice. "I suppose he claimed we all live in a new age of legends afterwards, too." "I didn't say I believed it," Matt protested. "I just heard it. Nynaeve did, too, and I thought she was going to skin me and the guard both. He said, the guard did, that a lot of people do believe, only they're afraid to say so, afraid of the Aes Sedai or the Children of Light. He wouldn't say any more after Nynaeve lit into us. She told the merchant, and he said it was the guard's last trip with him." "What kind of need would be great enough that we want the dragon to save us from it?" Rand mused. "As well as ask for help from the Dark One?" "He didn't say," Matt replied uncomfortably. "And he didn't mention any new age of legends. He said the world would be torn apart by the dragon's coming." "That would surely save us," Perrin said dryly. "Another break-in." "Burn me," Matt growled. "I'm only telling you what the guard said." Perrin shook his head. "I just hope the Aes Sedai or this dragon, false or not, stay where they are. Maybe that way the Two Rivers will be spared." "You think they're really dark friends?" Matt was frowning thoughtfully. "Who?" Rand asked. "Aes Sedai?" Rand glanced at Perrin, who shrugged. "The stories," he began slowly, but Matt cut him off. "Not all stories say they serve the Dark One, Rand." "Light, Matt," Rand said. "They caused the breaking. What more do you want?" "I suppose," Matt sighed. But the next moment he was grinning again. "Old Billy Conger says they don't exist, Aes Sedai, dark friends. Says they're just stories. He says he doesn't believe in the Dark One either."
Perrin snorted. Goblin talk from a conger? What else could you expect?
Old Billy named the Dark One. I bet you didn't know that.
Light, Rand breathed. Matt's grin broadened.
It was last spring, just before the cutworms got into his fields and nobody else's. Right before everybody in his house came down with yellow eye fever. I heard him do it. He still says he doesn't believe, but whenever I ask him to name the Dark One now, he throws something at me.
You were just stupid enough to do that, aren't you, Matrim Cathorn?
That was Readings with Rob. If there's a passage in an upcoming chapter you wish to have read on the podcast, simply tweet us at TavirenPod with your request.
And that was Readings with Rob. I took a little longer passage than the other chapters. I'm kind of spreading my wings a little bit with how much I want to attempt per chapter. So,
I'll keep it short.
Oh,
no,
hey.
it's just no. Trust me. Trust the guy who's done a few podcasts. You're only making more work for yourself.
I'm only a few more minutes. Never hurt anybody. So
you'll soon see. When the wheel turns.
So, as ever moving forward, yes. If there's any passages that you do want read, like I said, you can hit us on Twitter. You can hashtag Readings with Rob. Like I said, if you want to try and trip me up, go for it. I'm all up for the challenge. If you want to just hear how certain voices will be or how I'll try to pronounce certain words in this book, give it a shot. What was that?
Hi, I'm Padding Fang. I've come to peddle you some good.
We might have Pad and Fane sound a lot like Cloud Strife in someone's specific blindfolded run through.
Oh, sure, I'll be perfect. Would you like?
I'm here for the knife range.
There is a false dragon link all going in. Speaking of clouds, did you see the remake of Seven?
Yes, and I'm surprised we made it this far without geeking out. For those who don't know, Bill and I actually met, and I think Rich too, over a Final Fantasy themed podcast. We're all big fans of the series, and they just dropped their preview for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yep,
and everybody's going crazy over it. And
they also released a statement as well saying that it's almost ready. Basically, they're just preparing for release. So,
oh my gosh.
And I think they're going to have a playable game at E3.
This is E3 2019, so
yes.
Yeah, it's insane.
Exciting stuff. I just wanted to come out on the PlayStation 4 because it'll be a few years before I buy a PlayStation 5.
Well, I guess the announcement was for a PS4. It said PS4 next to it, so
fingers crossed. Yeah, that's not stopped them in the past, though, Rich. Rob. Damn it!
All right, we're gonna have a counter now for the amount of incorrect name drops. I've got one. Bill, you're already up to 4.
I'm up to 4 this one episode. Right, that's it.
In baseball terms, that's called the golden sombrero.
Right, thanks, Rand. Yes, but I'm excited for that.
I am excited too. So, yeah, welcome to the Taviren, a Final Fantasy podcast.
Yeah, the ultimate Final Fantasy podcast.
Oh, I thought that was trademarked.
Nope.
No, but we are massive Final Fantasy fans, so yeah, please allow us a few minutes to geek out on that. So Bill, based on the last episode that I did with Rich, we had a little discussion on the Raven and what our thoughts on why the Raven took off so quickly. So I decided to throw a poll out there on Twitter, basically getting the sense of the community, what are their thoughts about the Raven that Matt, Rand, and Malraine saw in Chapter 2.
Yes, because that was in fact a question I posed to you both last episode. Yes.
And why did it fly off so suddenly? So for my first Twitter poll, it did pretty good. Got 17 votes. Actually, a surprise at the overall winner with 47% of the votes. Raven being a Raven was the main winner.
I'm disappointed. 47% of the votes, man.
I mean, I thought it was Sense Magical Presence. That got 29% of the votes.
I think it's
Malraine casting us.
Yeah, I'm on the Moraine one. I think she cast a spell because she came over, looked at it, and then the thing suddenly flinched and flew off. I'm like, yeah, she's prodded it with a little fire spell under its bum.
Yep. Wake it up.
But yeah, the community think it's just a Raven being a Raven. It's had its eye full and it's buggered off.
Yes.
What's going on next week?
Good. Next week.
Next week we have the Glee Man. So if you guys are reading along with us, Troy, I know you are, or cock-a-doodle-doodle, waka-waka-waka-doodle, moo cow, or whatever it was. Yes.
The cow over the moon.
The cow, the cow fiddled something over the moon. If you're reading along, mate, we're moving into Glee Man next week. And don't get too far into Winter's Night. Because it's awesome.
All right. Well, once again, guys, if you haven't already, rate and review us on wherever you get your podcast feed. We'll take all the good criticism, all the bad criticism. We'll read it on the pod regardless.
Reach out to us on Twitter and have a chat. We love a good chat. We'll post a link to our. Oh God, do we need a Discord server? We
would love. Yeah, we don't have one yet officially.
Oh man, do I have time to manage another Discord server? Let's approach that one further down the line.
Do it now.
No, if there's calls for it, then I may. Because I'll probably do some research and find an awesome Wheel of Time one, and then be like,
Absolutely.
But yes, you can contact us on Twitter, guys, if you want to have a chat. Yep, leave us a review on iTunes. And other than that, I'm feeling thirsty. I think it's time for a pint. Or a tankard, sorry.
Try and take it easy this time, though. I know how excited you get on your first pint.
I'm definitely going to break something. But yes, I'm going to go have a pint at the Wine Spring Inn.
By the way, are those the two dogs I hear when we do the final cheer? Are those the ghosts? Are they covered in ghosts? Was it you, the ghost hounds?
They are the ghost hounds. I thought you'd like that little touch. I was just like, I waited as well. I waited for the glass to break and then had the dogs barking. I was like, that's going to be perfect. We're going to set the dogs off.
All right, guys. Check you next week, and we will see you at
the Wine Spring Inn.
The Wine Spring Inn.
I think it's
Take care, guys.
I think it's Rich's round, isn't it? Or is that Rob?
Call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Rob, you're late for dinner.
No. These stupid ghost towns are on my way.
Thank you for listening. If you want to continue the conversation, tap into the One Power and contact us on Twitter at TavirenPod. You can also contact Bill at Matunica and Rich at HaleBlue1569. You can also reach Rob at his website, digging, D-I-G-G-I-N, diggingdeepsports.com. And, as always, we will see you at the Wine Spring Inn.
Here's to another great podcast, gentlemen. Cheers! Ah, damn it, Bill, not again! Brad, can you get another round of pints for me and the boys? Yes, again. No, Bill this time. Thank you, Brad, much appreciated. Now, where were we, men? Actually, I believe it's Rich's turn at the Stones table. What's that you say? No, I don't think old Set will have that, Rich.
This has been a presentation
of the We Can Make This Work
Probably Network.
Follow us on Twitter
at Probably Work for more of our questionable content.
Also, we have a website called probablywork.com.